Many know the legend of Kratos, the mortal turned god who brought down the very walls of Olympus. But there was a time before Kratos became the monster known as the Ghost of Sparta. A time when something other than rage consumed him. A time when, in spite of the madness that plagued him, Kratos would break his blood oath to an unjust god.
So we're standing here in the shadow of Kratos at the PlayStation Lounge at E3. I'm caught up with Jason, who's, I would assume, key to the team since you're a combat designer. That's key to God of War, right?
One of the keys, yeah.
Yeah. So God of War, we've played a lot of these games lately. What's new in Ascension, and what kind of different things does it bring to the table?
Well, the big thing is the multiplayer, of course, which is 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 2-on-2. Allows you to play with your friends, experience God of War, kind of the same way you experience the single player, but now you could take those abilities and those progressions with the characters, use them, start from the bottom, ascend all the way to the top, and fight other people online.
So how did you find that the system that you've obviously used for so many single-player games, how did it adapt to the sort of multiplayer experience?
Well, it was kind of natural to adapt kind of the core features, which is the brutality, the hard-hitting moves, the presentation, everything, the brutal kills. That was something we just naturally had to bring to multiplayer. And then on top of that, it's just about making sure everything feels good when you're fighting your friends online and making sure you're having fun.
So the demo that you're showing here at E3, can you talk us through a little bit what's going on there?
So in the single-player demo, Kratos arrives at Delos, and he's looking for an item that will help him in his quest. And some of the things you'll see in the demo is kind of our emphasis on how we want you to approach a combat encounter. So one of the ways for that is the stun system, and in particular the sub-weapon system. So as you see in the beginning of the demo, he picks up a sword instead of using his blades, and he uses that against the enemies. And that in turn, he mixes with the blades to use to create certain types of combos that you usually couldn't do. Because in the past, you weren't able to switch between two weapons at the same time seamlessly. So this is the first time you could do this in God of War.
So does that bring another layer of variation to the combat? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, now it's less emphasis on actual blades. He can still use them and they're still strong, but now if you want to see certain type of new kind of features that are tied into the stun system, you have to use the sub-weapons. You kind of have to lead with the sub-weapon systems because that'll give you like new CS moves and new kind of setups for your blades. So there's a back and forth that you want to experiment with instead of just relying on the blades.
So as far as the story and setting goes, where does it fit into the sort of the grander picture and sort of what's going on here?
Well, Kratos, as you know, he was forced by the gods to commit some horrible deeds in the past, right? So now it's Kratos kind of reflecting. This takes place 6 months after he murdered his wife and child. So he's kind of in this crazy mindset right now where he has to kind of figure out what just happened. So he's a little more reflective and trying to figure out what are his next steps, because ultimately you know where he needs to be, but we're trying to answer how did he get there.
This is the stage where in real life here in LA, maybe you would get into a white car and drive away somewhere or something like that.
It could be something like that, yes.
All right, so what do you think it is? Because Kratos has pretty much become like this sort of the iconic PlayStation figure for this generation, I feel. What do you think it is about him that sort of appeals to gamers?
Well, I think what appeals to me and appeals to gamers is just that kind of thirst to kind of let it all hang out and take out your frustrations on somebody else that really had it coming to him. So at the end of the day, it still has that kind of bloodthirsty feeling, even though now in this game we want to present kind of his reflective side and how he's going to get to that ultimate rage monster. But for now, it's just figuring out how he's going to get there.
Is there a trap in sort of just trying to bring on more gore and more violence, more blood to it without sort of just making it like, because at a certain point, you sort of overdo that. Is that some sort of thing that you've had to consider?
Well, we kind of have a rule in the studio when we're working on gory kind of payoffs or kind of brutal kills, is if we start actually laughing at it, then we probably know we went too far. So that's kind of the barometer we set for ourselves, because we don't want to get campy. We don't want to get, we don't want to be laughed at. So we want to keep it as serious as possible and still have that brutality to it and make it as believable as possible.
Because it's not humorous violence like it is in some games.
Right. So we stay away from the humor. We try to present kind of what this man would do to reach the end, or so it's a means to an end through realistic kind of brutality.
It's the no laughter approach to game development. So where are you at in development, and sort of when will we get to hang out a little bit more with Kratos?
Well, the release date is March 2013. We're currently deep in development, and we're in the process of building all the levels, finishing everything up. Still things to figure out, and make things good, and make things better, and ultimately make things awesome.
So you got 3 days here at E3, and then it's back to work.
Back to work. I mean, some people are still at work because there's basically 2 games to be made and still in production, still figuring things out, like I said. So yeah, there's people still that aren't coming to E3.
Thank you very much for your time.
God of War, Ascension.